What do you expect? We look as though the EU is really trying to maybe placate the US to a certain extent, certainly Germany coming in and saying they do want to reach some sort of an agreement. Do you expect one will be made?
Well, yeah, Europe doesn't want the deadlines to be pushed back again and rolled over again and again. They want to reach an agreement. I'm not too worried about this. I mean, obviously, there will be some flip-flopping from President Trump. We're seeing that again with North Korea. We've seen it before. So occasionally, there will be some bad and worrying headlines. But I expect him for now to develop a rather cooperative stance in Europe, although clearly the huge current account surplus of Germany is an issue. At the end of the day, you know, we're going to discuss about steel, we're going to discuss about autos, but the big topic here is intellectual property, and this is China more than Europe.
Yes, I mean, we will see meetings between Wilbur Ross of the US with the EU's trade chief, Cecilia Malmström, in the city you sit in now in Paris at the OECD meetings. But talk to us about what will be discussed off-centre, and it will be China and US's relationship. What do you make of that going forward? Do you think that really this is an old war in some way, an old trade war that Donald Trump is fighting?
No, this is something very strategic, effectively. We're talking about intellectual property. We're talking about technology. Eventually, down the road, we're talking about military supremacy. Those are very strategic, long-term topics where Mr. Trump, President Trump, wants to protect the U.S. interest. And of course, he has some sympathy there from some trade partners, including Europe, Japan, and I don't think he wants to alienate those supports, those partners at that stage. So I believe that U.S.-China will remain the core focus when we talk about trade. We have seen some small progress and some small steps from China. I'm not quite sure this is enough to appease President Trump, but that's going to be the major focus. There will be ups and downs, as I said. I think that already this has had a negative impact on global growth. There are some concerns about the capex cycle, which was recovering, but some companies already are saying that the uncertainty about trade is actually hurting. I don't think Mr. Trump wants to push that too far.
I mean, meanwhile, the leader of Germany, Angela Merkel, speaking, and she's saying that the EU is ready to talk trade in the absence of tariff threats. We saw Angela Merkel actually become closer to Xi Jinping of China last week. We saw them really stand together, particularly when we heard from Donald Trump pushing against the auto imports in particular. Do you think that that's salvageable, the relationship between the EU and the US at the moment? Because he has antagonized them already, even if he doesn't want to do so further.
Well, yes, I suppose you know, this is a way for Angela Merkel to push back and somehow threaten the U.S. The risk for the U.S. here is that if they impose heavy sanctions, the other countries are going to start negotiating some new agreements between them, with the U.S. being left out. And eventually, that would hurt the U.S. So this is one way for Europe in particular to push back against the U.S. and to tell President Trump, you know, you need a sensible approach here. We have historical precedent where eventually the U.S. suffered very much from the increase in tariffs. I don't think the current administration wants that to be repeated.